What? No.
You suck! Oh my
God! This is What the Suck Podcast. I'm Chris.
And I'm James.
And today's second episode is going to be Creepshow 3. Before we start, I guess we should discuss what it's all about.
Well, that's the problem, Chris. We don't know what the hell it is about. It's a big clusterfuck.
I mean, what our show is about.
Oh, our show.
What our podcast is about.
That is right.
Our podcast is all about watching shitty movies, giving you a shitty rating and a shitty recommendation. Does that sound about right, James?
That's about right.
All right.
Basically what it is, our intention is to actually review with some humor, but seriously, the crappiest horror films out there, and actually encourage you to watch them with friends and family, rip on them, get drunk watching them, just have fun with it. So we are not trying to talk you out of watching these things. We're actually trying to talk you into them.
Right.
So
in a really roundabout, psychotic way, but yeah.
Pretty much.
So our rating system is based on shit emojis, and it's 1 to 5. 1 being something you definitely have to check out, maybe watch with friends, maybe own, maybe at least put in your queue on your streaming service. And a 5 is something that you watch once and then immediately go take a bath with bleach. Sound about right?
That's about right. Yep.
Okay.
It's the rating system is flipped. The more turds, the worse it is.
Okay. So today's movie for episode 2 is Creepshow 3. It's a 2006 American horror film and a sequel to the much, much better movies Creepshow and Creepshow 2 by Stephen King and George A. Romero.
How dare they?
How dare they? It was directed and produced by Anna Clavell and James Dudelson. The film stars nobody.
This is true.
Like its predecessors, it's a collection of tales, although there is no EC Comics angle this time around. It was critically panned all over. Matter of fact, looking at the Rotten Tomatoes, there were 6 actual critic reviews. It currently sits at a 0%.
And that's lower than a DC movie.
I think that's actually a bit higher than Justice League, but it has 11% liked it out of 2,000 average audience review, which is still really bad. Although I originally thought this was a student released or a independent release film, which it sort of kind of is, but it was released in 2006 in the United States by HBO through their parent company, Warner Home Video. So this had an actual release.
A production company actually released this piece of shit?
Yeah, so that's pretty sad. So it's pretty shitty. So what we're going to do is we're going to watch each segment, and then we're going to give our review, and then give a rating of that particular segment, and at the end of the full movie, we'll give our final review. So what's the first one? Do you know what the first one's called, James?
Actually, no, Chris. They don't tell us what the hell
they don't
it
have
is.
Names.
They don't have any names.
Oh, that's bad.
And unfortunately, there's no segues.
That is bad. Okay, well, then we'll just watch number 1 then.
So, yeah, we just have
how
to
it
roll
goes.
with it and see what happens.
All right, so number 1.
We're going to call this segment, What's Up, Doc?
I'd rather, what's up, suck?
Well, let's talk about it. First of all, the animation is worse than South Park, for God's sakes. It sucks. And 30 seconds into this whole thing, I wanted everyone to die already. I wanted the whole freaking cast to die. Literally everything I hate about teens was shown in the first 30 seconds to a minute. That was just like, good God.
Yeah, just stereotypical all over the place.
And folks, you have to be warned about this. Nothing is explained. The sequence makes no sense whatsoever.
So what happens in this one?
Well, the most I can tell you is they have this universal remote that the dad has, and he keeps pressing the buttons, and every time he does, something happens to his daughter. That's not explained. There's no telling why this happens. She basically ends up turning into a cross between Seth Brundle and a large pepperoni pizza from Domino's. So
nice.
Pretty hideous. I mean, just falling apart, dripping, nasty. And like I said, and there's just no transition. And then it instantly cut to the second segment. I mean, there was no explanation. There's no narration. So you're basically lost at this point.
Yeah, so unlike the first two, where the first two had the creeper, and he there was an animation segment between each one where it dealt with like a comic book, and then each story was a segment of the comic book, and it revolved around this kid who was reading the comic book. This has none of that. It shows some dinky Kenny wannabe dragging a wagon down the road in really bad Windows 95 paint animation shit.
If that.
And then it just cuts right to the first segment, and you have no idea why, no idea what's going on, no idea where it's at. It just cuts right to it. It's just some nagging, bitch who is talking on her phone about wanting to move out of this neighborhood, and there's a bunch of people out in the neighborhood kicking balls and giving mail and all kinds of weird shit. Yeah,
I just skipped over that part completely because if you just imagine the most annoying entitled teenager, there you go.
There it is.
So yipe.
So when she gets home, the first thing that happens is her brother says that she can't eat because she's fat. And then her mom says her grandma says she has no ass, so she won't get a husband, which doesn't make any damn sense. And her dad bought this remote from a vendor on a street corner. And when he goes to change the color and tint, everybody disappears. And when she runs out of the house, she comes back. Her family has now been replaced, and they are a black family now. They changed the color and tint. Ha ha, I get it. But at the same time, it made her hand get all fucked up for some reason. Like she put her hand inside some sort of temporal space anomaly.
It's like she tried to steal the scorpion bracelet. I mean,
jacked up. But she didn't even she didn't scream or anything. She just it was just like, oh look, my hand's fucked up. Let's go back in my house. It's like, what the fuck? And so it gets worse from there. And so, was there anything you liked about it?
What did I like about it?
Yeah,
that it ended. I liked the fact that the segment ended because I absolutely, just like I said, I wanted everybody to die immediately.
Well, I will say I thought that some of the practical effects on the creature design were pretty good.
Yeah.
You made a point to say that there was stuff falling off her. I thought that was pretty cool when she was full on Brendel pizza mode. I thought that was pretty neat, and the script was pretty horrible. It made no sense, and the story was pretty dumb. But the acting wasn't too bad for what it was.
It sucked.
We've seen worse. Worse.
Yeah, you know what it is? I'm just playing on some of my inner psychotic hatreds for certain things. So yeah.
So what do we give this segment? So what rating should we give each segment before we give it the final turd segment?
Well, we'll try to do an average, but I'm going to give this particular session, just from the sheer aggravation, I'm going to give it a 4 turd.
4 turd. Okay.
I'm going 4 turds, almost full bore.
All right. I think I'm going 4 turd too, just in the fact that Creepshow 3 seems to have lost what made Creepshow, in that the previous 2 had stories that were entertaining, engaging. At the very least, they were creepy. Some were actually frightening. Even the one with Leslie Nielsen that didn't have anything to do supernatural. Well, it did at the end, but at the beginning where it's Leslie Nielsen and Ted Danson and that lady, and he buries them in the sand. It's not supernaturally terrifying, but to see Leslie Nielsen in that role be such an asshole is pretty terrifying.
That's right.
He did a
Don't
great
call
job.
me Shirley.
Don't call me Shirley. That's right.
That's right.
This seems to have lost all of that, and it's gone for full-on slapstick, and that is not what Creepshow should be about at all.
Absolutely.
At all.
I could not agree more.
Okay, so we've decided 4 turds for this one, so let's move on to segment number 2. Again, no transition, no title. It just goes to 1990s in living color scheme, and then bam, next segment.
Yeah, we'll do our best, guys. We'll do our best. Hang in there with us.
Here goes the next one.
Okay, well, folks, we accidentally discovered that each of the segments actually are named. We were incorrect in our first assessment.
Well, it's not incorrection when neither the movie nor the description of the movie even lists names.
True. You have to go digging
You had to
for
look
it.
from on fucking Wikipedia, but yeah.
Well, the first segment, real quick, was called Alice.
Yeah.
So you'll see the correlation with that when you watch the segment. The second segment, bleh, is called The Radio. And literally, folks, The Radio was the best actor in the entire movie.
Yeah, I agree with that. She was pretty good.
Pretty good.
Pretty good.
Starts out, you got this loser pimp landlord roughing everybody up, hollering, calling everybody bitch and hoe.
Bitch!
And then our loser, Jerry, I guess, ventures down an alleyway and encounters 3 individuals and some reason decides to buy this radio off these guys. And turns out this radio has a mind of its own.
And a voice of its own.
And kind of like a first generation Dr. Theopolis kind of looking thing. Just nagging, and it's funny. And like I said, it's the best actor in the whole damn movie.
Helps him get his life in order. Actually makes him clean up his apartment.
Yep, starts bossing around, telling what to do. He's whipped, man. He's whipped.
Oh yeah, yeah. It wasn't scary. It wasn't creepy. Again, I don't know why they call it Creepshow. It has, and even the non-creepy segments of the first two, even if they weren't creepy, they had some sort of element that made them sort of fantastical.
Yes.
Like the segment with Stephen King in the Meteorite where grass was going everywhere. It wasn't creepy, but it had this real sort of sci-fi fantastical element to it that you just couldn't stop watching, couldn't take your eyes off. We were invested in what happened to this poor dolt of a farmer, And this one, this poor dolt of a security guard, didn't give 2 shits what happened to him.
Nope.
Especially because he was so lacking social skills and common sense that he had to take all his direction, including cleaning his apartment, from a radio.
Which the whole concept is strange, but it's actually, if I'm being honest, is actually quite enjoyable because the radio has a lot of quips and comebacks
Man, she was all about that diversification, wasn't she?
Yeah, all about it. And she was all up in his grill, constantly telling him what to do and stuff. Yeah. So that was funny.
So, again, the script wasn't that great. The acting was actually pretty good, though. I mean, even Jerry he wasn't too bad.
No.
I mean, he played the loser pretty good. Again, the radio was the best part.
Yeah, he convinced me.
Yeah, the pimp was pretty horrible. I mean, he's like a broke Flavor Flav looking fool.
Complete stereotype, purple jogging suit.
Yeah, kangaroo hat, all that stuff. Otherwise, I'm gonna give this one a 4.
Yeah,
4 turds out of 5.
4 turds, pretty bad.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. It's a little better than Alice because it seems to have a bit more of an actual There's actually a plot. There's actually an idea. There's something going on. A, B to C. It's not just throwing you in and you trying to figure out what the fuck's going on. Like he actually before he doesn't just show up with the radio. He shows up and he's a loser, and he has a radio and it breaks, and so he needs to find one because instead of watching TV, he likes listening to radio or whatever. But it has a beginning, middle, end. So it's got a structure. It's got a plot. The first one didn't have shit.
No. The first one was all over the place, and it didn't explain a damn thing.
No. So this one was a little better, but it's still pretty bad.
It kind of did a full circle thing. A couple of surprising moments we won't give away at the end, but let's put it this way: the radio basically goes full circle. You'll see when you watch it.
Yeah. And we also discovered that there is sort of not an overall arching theme or a wraparound story, but there are people in each segment that appear in other segments.
That is correct, and they are the same characters from the other segments. Yeah. So there is a little interaction between the characters. They're all in different stories, but basically somehow interact throughout the movie.
So basically, it's like a Tarantino film where they all encompass this one area and they all live in the same area. So you'll see them interact, or even in the background of each other's stories, and so. Except
they're not good. This ain't good like Tarantino. No, nowhere near. So.
No. All right. So what's the third one called then? Now we have names.
Well, the third one is called Call Girl.
All right. So let's see what Call Girl is all about.
We shall see. Segment number 3, called Call Girl, should have been called Murdering Ass Hoe, at least in my opinion. Story about a call girl who's kills her tricks. Okay, basically what happens is this guy calls her finds her on the internet, which I don't know prostitutes who advertise on the internet.
I think they call them the back pages now.
I think so, but anyway, he gives her his address over the phone. Doesn't know her. Just gives her the address, no problem. Hey, come on over. What could possibly go wrong with that, right?
Yeah.
So she comes over. He tells her what he wants. I want you to tie me up, blindfold me, blah, 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 and all this stuff. So she, what's the word I'm looking for here? She
ties him up and stabs him in the chest a bunch of times with a knife.
I guess that's how you
There's
put
no
it.
basic about it. That's what she does. And then she goes to take a shower, and he starts calling to her, Rachel.
And you're like, oh, Lord.
Yeah, and then she goes over to him, takes the pillow. She put a pillow on his face after she killed him because I guess, she couldn't look at him, whatever. But when she removes the pillow off his face, he suddenly has these chompers like that chomping ball in Mario 3.
Yep.
All of a sudden his face has these big old teeth chompers, and he's suddenly out of the handcuffs, and she screams, and he reaches her and eats her, and then fresh out the shower, she put her bathrobe on, and she went out and got killed, and then he leaves the next morning, and then end scene is a living room of the house where you see the family that owned the house strung up after eating them.
Yep.
Then it pans over, gets to the call girl. She's also hanging on the wall,
And she's
having her neck chewed out.
Yep.
And she's back in her leather outfit. So he was nice enough to dress her, which is,
I guess so.
very kind of a supernatural monkey face looking killer.
I was going to say, yes. Fans of the old Creepshow, we have a little tiny bit of homage to the crate monkey.
Yeah, his face is kind of like a crate monkey.
Kind of looks like the crate monkey. Not half as badass though. The crate monkey was badass.
It was 3 times way worse than.
But yeah, he looked like an idiot, and I don't know who did his hair, but they ought to be shot.
Yeah,
that's just ridiculous. But basically, it was a short segment.
Yeah,
Killer hoe out to get somebody else. Gets the tables turned on her. She did. He did. He moved on. Takes her car. Goes golfing.
So I think the most interesting part of this particular short was how it tied into the other ones. So the first one started in this neighborhood with the girl turned into a rabbit, whatever, and the professor looking for his remote control that he made or some shit. I don't know. And then the second one, the radio was in like this bad part of the neighborhood, and in that one you actually see the girl from Call Girl show up in one of the scenes real quick. And then the call girl starts in the same apartment building as the radio. Mm-hmm. And then she leaves from that trick she just killed, gets into her Mercedes, which was in the alley, by the way, of a really bad neighborhood, which she gets there and it's still perfectly fine. Yeah, I don't know what bad neighborhood that happens in. But yeah, she gets in, and then she drives to the neighborhood where this creature has taken over the house. It just so happens to be the same neighborhood where the girl and the professor live. So, the most interesting part of this segment is that it brings us back to the beginning, the neighborhood in the beginning. So to me, that's the most interesting part. Other than that, the script was horrible. The acting was bad. Actually, it was probably the worst of them so far.
Yeah, and the prosthetic chest that she was stabbing was god
pretty
awful.
Shitty. I think overall in all, I think this is my 5 shitter for tonight.
Yeah, I'm gonna lay a 5 turd on that one
too.
That one really stunk. It was pretty damn stupid.
Yeah, I mean, I think I even left the room a couple times and didn't even care to rewind it because I know I hadn't missed shit. So.
You didn't miss a damn thing.
So. All right, so let's go on to the next segment, which is called
The Professor's Wife.
Professor's Wife. All right, let's see how bad this one is.
Let's see what happens. Segment 4, The Professor's Wife.
Holy
shit. I'm literally stupider for watching it right now. I hope the effects are only temporary, but I think my IQ actually dropped 40 points just watching this crap. It's getting harder for me to form complete sentences when I'm trying to do this. It was bad. It was. I mean, it's almost. Is it meant to be that bad? Is it? That I'm talking about. See, you can't even form a sentence. You're like, what the hell did we just watch?
Was it meant to be that bad? I mean, because it wasn't even slapstick. It was like less than slapstick. It was less than crapstick. It was just. I mean, I don't even know. Do we even need to describe what happened in the movie?
Not really. Basically, what happens is this is a story focused on the crazy professor that you meet in the first segment.
Who's a dick.
And you see him in the background in the other couple sections. But mainly, yeah, he's a douche.
He's
a leg puller and stuff. And he has these two millennial geniuses that are engineering students of his come over to his house, talk about his wedding, and they introduce him to his wife, who, for some reason, these two brilliant individuals devise a plan to. They think she's a freaking
android
robot. Yeah,
because the professor talked about creating the perfect woman in these horrible flashbacks that looked like they were filmed through the bottom of a whiskey bottle.
It was horrible.
He talked about creating the perfect woman, and that she'd have an off switch and an on switch, and a voice control, and then they did other flashbacks talking about his pranks that he pulled prior. One involving he had somehow rigged one of his students' car with a remote control, and when the student drove away, he used a remote control and caused the student to crash into a something off screen, thereby committing attempted murder. So it went from being a joke to straight up attempted homicide. That's real fucking funny.
Yeah, baha.
And then when he leaves to go run an errand, which why would you invite students over and then go run an errand? That makes no sense.
You leave two horny college boys in the house with your
and so then they decide to
wife to be
play a prank on him and find the off switch, and they do that by taking her apart.
No, that's not even the best part. What do they take her apart with, Chris?
With a saw and a screwdriver drill.
It was a screwdriver drill.
Which I don't understand. Like
rechargeable.
Yeah, yeah. With a hose attached to it because it's also pneumatic. I guess I don't know how.
I don't have no idea. But
so
yeah,
like they take the screwdriver because I'm sure they're thinking they're going to find some screw parts they need to unscrew to take parts off. But once you get in there and you see that there's no screws in this body, why would you keep using it? They're completely covered in blood, which that much blood, I mean, like they would have to be rolling around in it and just rolling the body around in it because the whole body was covered in blood. And then the professor gets home, and before he gets home, they realize, oh, she was a real person. She suffers from amnesia, so that's why she has no idea how she met the professor. And so they decide to stuff all her body parts in different parts of the kitchen.
In the fridge, in the drawer, in the oven. Yeah, and the oven is on, by the way.
Yeah, and so then the professor comes home, and they escape. So after committing murder, they escape. They just take off, and then he finds her head in the oven with her brain pan emptied, and his reaction is, "Oh no!"
Exactly.
That's like
this is horrible.
Again, that's why I guess it's supposed to be like a parody or like slapstick, but it's not even funny.
It's not funny. It's just over the top stupid.
The acting is terrible. The special effects are stupid. It's just if I could give this more than 5 shits, I would, but we can't. So it's a 5 shitter with a hard flush.
Yeah, you can say that. It's definitely. I couldn't agree more. That's a 5 turd plus.
Oh yeah,
with a couple of extra pebbles thrown in. Just
I agree. I think that one made me dumber just watching it. So.
Yeah, we both sat here with our jaws hanging open, just watching this crap. But you know what? It's to be expected. So when you see it, you'll know what we're talking about.
All right. So what's the last segment for the night?
Let's see. I think we've got 2.
Oh, okay.
The next segment is going to be called The Haunted Dog.
Oh, that sounds like a winner. Let's see what that's all about.
Yep. How much worse can it possibly get? Segment 5. This is getting painful.
Oh my gosh, this is so bad.
Actually, it's been painful. This is worse. It's like being kicked in the sack. This is
The Haunted Dog.
Should have been called Dr. Dipshit.
Yeah, I think so. You saw more of his dipshitness than you saw the haunted dog the whole time.
Yep. Stereotypical white guy character, slinging racial slurs, being a wise ass. It's severely annoying. And, just typical over-the-top BS. Just, ugh.
So this doctor has been given community service for what we don't know by being a doctor at a free clinic in the hood for however long, whatever. On his way to work one day, he stops to get a hot dog. He drops it on the ground. He gives it to this homeless person who's been bugging him, asking him for money. He gives it to him. Then goes, gets another hot dog. The homeless person dies, choking on the hot dog. And so throughout the short, the ghost of the homeless person shows up, pulling out the hot dog either out of his mouth or out of his gut for whatever reason, and just haunts the doctor the whole time. Not even the whole time. You see him 3 times in the whole short. You see more of the
4, yeah.
You see more of the doctor being insensitive to his patients, and you see of the ghost haunting him.
And like I said, if there's anybody out there who's racially sensitive, don't watch it.
Well,
Because he slings it, but then again, that's typical.
Yeah, if you're watching this, then you're definitely not racially sensitive, and it's
That's for sure. And I guess it ought to also be noted that in this particular sequence, when the man is choking on the hot dog, somebody's screaming for a doctor, and he just walks away.
Yeah, he's a douche. And
probably leading to the fact of why he's haunted.
Yeah, and it's, I mean, it's no longer even remotely scary. Even when the ghost of the homeless man shows up, it's not funny it's not scary. I mean, when it shows up, it's funny. It's comical.
Yeah,
the whole thing is comical. The doctor with the patients he's just an asshole, and he's just making jokes, and it's somewhat funny, not because it's actually well written, but because at this point you're just so sick of the whole fucking movie that you're just laughing at how bad the script is.
Yep, as you can tell, the tone has come down a little bit on this one. We're just like,
So it's the script is bad, the acting is bad, the location is terrible. You can tell it's on a set. It's not an actual location. Everything's just bad.
Yeah, and the professor shows up yet again.
Yeah, there's this
crazy professor shows up again, and he's holding his little remote, and he comes up and he buys a voodoo kit from the guy on the street. That's another little point. But it doesn't say anything further as to what the kit is for, but I am betting in the final segment that we're going to find out.
So let's get along with this shit show. And
let's get this over with while we can.
All right, last one. Here we go. So we just watched the epilogue, which was all of, I don't know, maybe a minute or
2 or 3 minutes, yeah. At the most.
And yeah, at this point, it's pretty. I mean, it's in your face that it's no longer a Creepshow movie. It is a fun show movie. It's a shit show movie.
It's a I no words.
there's a wedding scene, and people are standing outside, and the professor comes out, and he's got his bride that he's patched all up. She's all covered in bandages, yet still in a wedding dress. And they take off on their wedding honeymoon, which doesn't make any sense because the guys cut her up in like 1,000 pieces, took her brain out and everything, yet somehow he was able to bring her completely back. Yeah, the voodoo kid, I get it. That's what the voodoo kid was for. I guess so, but yeah. Still, it's just like, oh my god. I mean,
it doesn't show any of that. All you do is see him leave the church.
So dumb. And then they bring it back to the first one with the Alice girl. He's got the rabbit in the back of his car, and he calls it by name for whatever reason, basically just to get the mother to be like to say that Alice will look so beautiful on her wedding day, which indicates she's the only person to still remember they had a daughter named Alice.
Yep.
And the other 3, the son, the father, and the grandmother are like she's not well. She still thinks we have a daughter named Alice, but they don't. So, but she remembers him having. I don't know. I can't. Yep. I just can't piece it together.
And the huge plot hole is they never explain the remote.
No,
they don't explain the remote. It has to do with the movie here and there.
They don't explain anything.
You know what?
They should call it Plot hole 3, not Creepshow 3.
This one you're gonna want to have. You want to have about a half a pint of something before you watch it.
Man, do not do shots to this game because you will die. And then they drive off and then drive around the corner and there's the hot dog vendor and the vendor turns around and has this really horrible makeup job face. It's supposed to be the creeper from the first two, and then this horrible bad CGI blood drains from his cap over his face.
It looked like chocolate. It looked like chocolate syrup or something. It was horrible, stupid.
Ugh.
But a fitting ending to a complete and utter piece of shit.
All right, so what did we give the last segment? I gave it 5 shits. What did you give it?
Well, actually, the last segment was not as bad as the previous two. I actually gave it a 4 turd.
Okay. And what about the epilogue? What did you give this one?
The epilogue, that's off the scale.
Off the scale.
It was senseless, useless. But if it's going to be a turd, it's going to be a 5 turd. All
right. So, okay. Overall, the film is very incohesive. It spends more time reminding you that these characters live in the same world than it does trying to be a wraparound cohesive story.
Yeah, it basically, it's like you said, it makes 0 sense. There's no tie-ins. Yes, there's overlapping, but nothing makes sense. Nothing's resolved. It's a bunch of open-ended plot hole crap.
And I mean, the first 2 movies, they didn't always give you the backstory, but the writing and the acting and it was all done so well enough that you could get in fresh and still know what the hell was going on.
Yep.
And still follow a cohesive story. And this one, it didn't feel like Creepshow.
And then it ended with more. I'm not even going to insult Monty Python. Monty Python had better animated graphics.
The art of Terry Gilliam. Yes. It was.
This is horrible, guys.
So overall, this is one I would definitely call a 5 shitter. Just overall 5 shitter. Watch it once, maybe with some friends, and then just forget it ever existed.
And just remember, just watch it. Shred the hell out of it, laugh at it, have fun, and then, like you said, just shut it off and go on about your life.
And forget it ever existed. You won't gain anything from it. You won't learn anything from it. Hopefully, you won't become stupider from it. But at the very least,
the problem is how do you get any worse than this? How do you get any worse?
I don't know.
I'm more personally ready to give it a 4 turd. I mean, it's god awful, but there's bound to be worse crap out there.
I'm going to give it a 5 turd because there's bound to be worse. I don't know how. It would have to be a independent, super low budget, made by 2 people, type of film that had a budget of about maybe $100,000. That's the worst, and that's not even going to be on our show because we're going to at least do things that have actually been released on some sort of network or something.
Exactly.
But yeah, it's just bad, y'all. It's on YouTube if you want to find it. Just type in Creepshow 3. There's a few different versions. We did the Viet sub, which I guess is Vietnam subtitles, whatever. But we didn't have subtitles.
There was nothing on there. Yeah. It was a decent copy.
It's like 240p. It's not the greatest, but it's what you're gonna find. This thing is not released. It's VHS quality. There's no Blu-ray. There's no DVD quality of this movie anywhere. So don't even try to find.
It's a real gem, folks.
Yeah,
it's a real gem.
But that being said, it was fun in how bad it was.
Yeah.
It's still a 5 shitter.
Still a 5 shitter. Yeah. Which means epic shittiness. Need to watch it at least once. Like I said, that's the whole point. Yeah. I got to reemphasize that, guys. You want to see it at least once and tear it apart. Just have fun with it.
So yeah, give it a watch once and then erase it from your memory and
exactly. If you can.
And move along. All right. Well, anything else you want to add, James?
I don't know what I can add, Chris.
All right, buddy.
I'm about out of thoughts with this one.
This
one basically sapped my intelligence. Hopefully I can even drive home.
Once again, you're giving it a 4. I'm giving it a 5. So that's where it stands. All right, man. Well, then we'll see you on the next one. Until then, everybody, enjoy your night. Have a good morning. Have a good day wherever you're at. And
that's right.
Enjoy the movie.
Absolutely.
See you guys.